Canard on here, Vista, California. Friday, January 24th. Got it. 2025. This video, a recap of Sam Thompson's career. A lot of intrigue in his career. 1,410 games in 15 years. It's too bad. If he had played 22 years, maybe he could have pushed 2,000, maybe 2,500 games. Played in the 1880s and the 1890s. Different time era. Guys weren't playing 150 games a year. They'd get up to about 120, 130. Sam Thompson had 1 year, 153 games. Compare that with Pete Rose. Did you know that Pete Rose played over 150 games? I'm trying to remember. I think it was like 16 or 17 times in his career. He got a 24-year career. 150 plus games. 16 or 17 times. Sam Thompson once. Anyway, let's recap his career, and then I want to point out some things. This guy accomplished something nobody else has ever accomplished in baseball history, as far as my research. Maybe somewhere, if you really dig into all the players, maybe you can find someone else who did a similar accomplishment. But he did two things that are incredible. First, let's recap his career. 1,410 games, 5,998 at-bats. Ty Cobb had over 10,000. So see the difference between him and Cobb. 1,251 runs scored. He scored runs. The seasons that he played, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He had 10 out of the 15 years, 100 or more runs scored seasons, 10 of them. His high was 131. So that's pretty good. 10 out of 15. Hits, 1,988. Falls short of 2,000. Again, only 1,410 games. He had 3 200-hit seasons. 203, 1887. 222, 1893. And 211, 1895. So 3 200-hit seasons. 343 doubles. 161 triples, 126 homers. They don't hit homers that much in those days. He had 1,308 RBIs in 1,410 games. Very significant. I'll get into that ratio. The hits ratio of games played and the RBI ratio of games played are the two things I want to really dive into. Let's look at the rest. He had 232 stolen bases. 452 walks, 234 strikeouts. Good ratio there. You have almost 6,000 at-bats. Strikes out 234 times. 331 career batting average. Very good. That made the Hall of Fame. That did it. He had 4 seasons, over 370. He had a 372, a 370, a 392, and a 415. Also, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 seasons over 300 out of 15 years. 384 on base, 505 slugging. That's pretty good. 500 slugging. And 3,031 total bases. All right, what are the two things that Sam Thompson did that nobody else has ever done? Trivia question. In baseball history, he had a season. It was 1894. Excuse me. Yeah, 1894 season. He played 102 games. Okay. Didn't play the full season. But he got 187 hits. That is an average of 1.83 hits per game played that year. 1.83. So I did the math. 102 games, right? So that means he missed 52 games if you have a 154 game season. What is I'm going to do it, 1.83 times 52 presuppose hypothetical more games for Sam Thompson, 1894. That's 95 hits more if he had played 154 games. So he had 187 games, 187 hits in 1894, plus 95. That would have given him 282 hits that year. That would have been a record. How about that? You ever consider that? The pace that he was on in 1894, where he had 187 hits in 102 games. Sheesh, what a ratio. He would have ended up with 282 hits if he had played 154 games. Now, there was one other guy that I found out, that Willie Keeler also had a ratio of like about 1.84 or 85 hits per game. And he could have ended up with 280 plus hits also. We don't know. I'm going to say that Sam Thompson's pace was incredible. It really was. I think he beats Willie Keeler, but Keeler was right there also. He could have had 280 hits in one of the years that he played, because he had something like 130 games, and he was up to 230 hits already. If he had played the 154, he could have gotten close to about 280. So him, Keeler, and Thompson right there. But I'm going to give it to Thompson's 187 hits in 102 games. Okay, that's the first thing. I don't think anybody else is accomplished. Keeler came close. 282 hits in 1 year. That would have broke Ichiro and Sisler and all those guys' record, which they have now. The second thing that Sam Thompson did that I did not realize, in 1895, which was the next year after 1894, he got 165 RBIs in 119 games. So again, if you do the math, 165 divided by 119 gives you a ratio of 1.39 RBIs per game played that year, okay? 1.39. So he played 119 games, right? What's 154 games? How many did he miss? So 130, 120 to 150. He missed 35 games. If he had played a 154 game season that year and kept up the pace of 1.39 RBIs per game, let's do it. 35 times 1.39 would have been 48 more RBIs, the pace he was on. 165 is what he ended up with, plus 48, presuppose if he had played 154 games. He would have had 213 RBIs that year if he had played 154 games. I don't think anybody else in baseball history was on that pace of such an RBI production. When Hack Wilson got his 191 RBIs, it was in a full season, 154 154 games, I believe he played. How about Sam Thompson, the potential of 213 RBIs in 1 year? Now, there are guys in the minors that have gotten 200 RBIs in a season, but you have to look close because their season was like 180 or 190 games. See, and then they got the 200 RBIs. But in baseball, back in that time, 1880s, 1890s, 154 game season, if he got 213 RBIs, that would have been a record probably never broken. I mentioned this before. How come nobody in baseball history has ever gotten 200 RBIs in a season? It's too hard. You got 154 game season, and now it's a 162 game season. If you want to get 200 RBIs in a season, you would have to average close to 2.0 hit RBIs per game played, right? So 154 games times 2 would be 300. Let's see. 154 game season times 2 would give you 300 RBIs for the season. If you want to get 200 RBIs in a season, I believe it's 154 times 1.5. Yeah. It's about 1.35. About 1.35 or 1.36 RBIs per game played. You have to average more than the RBI per game, a little bit more, in order to get to 200 RBIs in a season. I don't know if it can be done. Maybe it will be done. Here's another stat I didn't realize on Sam Thompson. He played 1,410 games and got 1,988 hits. That's an average of 1.41 hits per game played. So you know what I did? I did another presupposed scenario. What if, all right, what's the record for games played in a season, in a career? Pete Rose, right? 3,562 games. If Sam Thompson played 3,562 games, presuppose hypothetically, he was averaging 1.41 hits per game played. He only played 1,410. So for him to get to 3,562 games, we'd have to add 2,152 games in order to reach 3,562. If he had done that, then we'd have to multiply his ratio of hits per game played, right? So multiply 2,152 more games for Sam Thompson by the 1.41 hits per game played that he averaged. Do you realize that Sam Thompson would have ended up with 5,022 hits if he had played 3,562 games and maintained 1.41 hits per game played? That would have been incredible, right? Of course, he's not going to play the 3,562 games. But if he did, he would have ended up with that number, 5,022 games, 22 hits. Is that number one all time? No. I found out that Ed Delonte was on a pace also at 1.41 hits per game played. He played 1,837 games and got 2,597 hits. So if he was to reach 3,562 games, he would have to add 1,725 more games. Multiply it by the 1.41 hits per game played. He would have ended up with 5,029 hits. That would have beat Sam Thompson. I told you Thompson was 5,022. He would have beat him by 7. It's all hypothetical. I know it's presupposed. But this is the pace that both of these guys were on, what they averaged for their career. I look at the hits and the games, and how did they produce? And the other one for Sam Thompson is the RBI production. This guy was incredible. He had 8 seasons, 100 RBIs. One of them was 166 RBIs in 1 year. That was 1887. It was 127 games. But the 165 RBIs that he got in 1895 was 119 games. He did it in less. So that's where his ratio was much higher. But what I did was I looked at his RBI production career for the games played. 1,308 RBIs in his career, 1,410 games. What is that an average of? If you divide it, it comes out to 0.92 RBIs per game played. Not quite 1 RBI per game. If he had 1,410 games, he would have to have 1,410 RBIs to average 1 RBI per game played. He didn't do it. He had 1,308 RBIs, so he fell short by about 102 RBIs. So the average comes out to 0.92 RBIs per game played. You know what I did? I did a hypothetical again. What's the most RBIs in baseball history? It's Henry Aaron, right? Let's put in Henry Aaron's name here. Henry, got him. How many games did he play? He played 3,298 games. Again, let's do a presuppose. What if Sam Thompson played 3,298 games, the same as Henry Aaron? How many RBIs would he have ended up with if he's averaging 0.92 RBIs per game played? Well, he played 1,410 games, so in order to reach the 3,298 games, you'd have to add about 1,888 more games for Sam Thompson. Multiply that by 0.92 RBIs per game played that he averaged. That would have given him 1,750 more RBIs, hypothetically. He would have ended up with 3,058 RBIs in his career if he had played 3,298 games. You following me? He was averaging 0.92 RBIs per game played, 1,410 games. If he played 3,298 games, he would have ended up with 3,058 RBIs. The record right now is 2,297 by Aaron. And he did that in the 3,298 games. See, Aaron was not averaging 0.92. Aaron averaged about 0.69 RBIs per game played. I did the research. I went to all the RBI producers in history: Lou Gehrig, Hank Greenberg, DiMaggio, Ruth, Fox, Simmons, Hansen, Williams. Sam Thompson had the highest RBI production per game played in Major League history. How about that? You know his number 2? Lou Gehrig. He had 1,995 RBIs, but it took him 2,164 games. He was in the right close to 0.92. If he had played 3,298 games, Lou Gehrig, he would have ended up with 3,039 RBIs, but that is less than Sam Thompson. He would have ended up with 3,058 RBIs. It's about 19 more RBIs than Gehrig. That's how productive Sam Thompson was. And I didn't realize this. Where am I getting my stats, also, you may ask? Did you know that I wrote a book? Baseball is a numbers game. That's why I got all the numbers in here. And I did all the calculations. Here's the book right here. Baseball is a numbers game. I wrote this book. When did I write it? 2022, 3 years ago. What's my point? My point is this: Sam Thompson had 2 years that were unmatched in baseball history. His 187 hits in 109 games. In 1894. No, 102 games, sorry. 187 hits in 102 games. And the other one was 165 RBIs in 119 games. Those two things, I don't think anybody else had the ratio of what Sam Thompson did in a season for hits in that 1 year and for RBIs in that other year. What do you think? All right, this is a recap. Sam Thompson, it was fun looking at his career, Hall of Fame. He had the potential. It's too bad he only played 1,410 games. I wish he had played over 3,000 games. Where would his numbers be? Probably close to 4,000 hits, probably over 2,000 RBIs, probably 350 batting average career. He was on that pace. You know, another thing I didn't know, he started his career late. He started at age 25. If he had started at age, let's say 18, Ty Cobb and Al Kaline both started their career at age 18. Bob Feller started at 17. If Sam Thompson had started his career at age 18 and had 7 years of numbers, hits, RBIs, batting average, and if he hadn't have missed a lot of the games throughout his career, because he only played 1,410, if he had played about 3,000 games, he would be one of the greatest players of all time. He would be in the top 10 or 15 because of the hits, the RBI, and the average, batting average. Now, the home runs, he wouldn't have been up there in the top 10, no. He only had 126. Probably would have ended up with about 250. What a player. I didn't realize it. So the only way to find out about these guys is to dig deep in their career, look at the box scores, and that's what I've been doing on my YouTube channel. Take a player, dig deep, find out what he contributed to baseball, and see if he established any records. I didn't know this about Sam Thompson. All right, who's next? Who should I cover next? Got a multiple of guys I can cover. But like I said, I like guys with high batting averages. I haven't covered Aaron and Mays, Mantle, Clemente, Pete Rose. I haven't covered those guys yet because their batting average is not as high as some of these other guys. I've covered Cobb, Hornsby, Joe Jackson, Lefty O'Doul, Galante, Speaker, Hamilton, Williams, Brothers, Ruth, Orr, Heilman, Pete Browning, Keeler, Terry, Garrick, Sisler, Burkett, Gwynn, Lajoie, Simmons, Musial, and Thompson. Who's next? Well, if you look at the career batting average leaders, you got Cap Hansen, 334 career batting average. Now, he started in the 1870s, and he's got a 27-year career. 27 years in the big leagues. Now, there's a lot of controversy with him, I know there is, because of the race relations during that time. I don't know the full story. They say he was pretty bad. Probably was. But I'm going to look at this guy, Camp Hansen. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's got a 27-year career. He's got a 334 career batting average. He's got 3,435 hits according to Baseball Reference. I'm kind of curious about this guy. All right, so let's try to look at Camp Hansen's career. We'll go from 1870, wow, 1 through 1897. So we'll have a video for each season for Camp Hansen. All right. Talk to you later. I'm out.